Thanks for joining us once again for your weekly update from the city of New Hope. Time to chat with the mayor to find out what's new and what's coming up. Welcome, Mayor. How are you today?
Oh, just fine. I think fall is kind of getting on the way here.
That's right. After a few hot days, now it's going to drop a little bit. So we've got a lot to talk about this coming up in the fall. Let's begin with a few notes. One that is business related. Tell us about a business along 42nd that a change is coming.
Well, Gill Brothers Funeral Home has closed that home on 42nd, but Louisiana. I know it's on the market for sale. I don't know if anybody that's interested in it yet, but I'll keep you informed about what's happening on that one.
And it is the time of the year that those leaves are beginning to come down, especially with that recent rain. So we want to remind residents about ways to get rid of those leaves. Mayor, help us out. What can residents do?
Well, this is a free program with the yard waste in Maple Grove. But so you can pick up all your leaves and your garden waste and twigs, bring them out to the Maple Grove site. It's free, but you do need to bring your driver's license or some identification so that they know that you're a New Hope resident. But it's a good way to get rid of all that trash from your yard.
And here you see the website. You can find out more at mgyardwaste.com, just located up in Maple Grove off of 610 and Maple Grove Parkway. Business networking group. We've been talking about the upcoming date. It's fast approaching here. What's happening with that group recently?
Well, October 4th at 8:30 in the morning, we're going to be at Thrivent. That's at 9220 Bass Lake Road. So they will be hosting that. We get a city update and then we go around the table and all the businesses get to talk about what's going on in their business. It's a really, really informative place to be. The second one is November 1st, and that one's at 2 o'clock. That's going to be at New Hope City Hall, and that'll be hosted by Opus Music Academy. And at that one, they're also going to talk about the Blue Line extension. Even though it doesn't come into New Hope, it does go through Crystal and Robbinsdale. So you might be interested to come in and hear what's going on with that.
Let's now move ahead to the police department. A few updates here, ways that the police are engaging with the community. One is what we've been promoting for quite some time, the Community Police Academy. That is well underway. What was the recent topics that were covered?
Last week, Officer Callio this is his third week. They talked about the school resource officers, DWIs, and crime prevention. So I don't know where they're meeting. They meet at each of the cities. They keep rotating around. So this was what happened last week. I'll let you know what went on this week.
All right, and cookouts continue to happen with some of the residential buildings in the city. Where was the recent cookout and who was cooking?
Well, Officer Callio and Chief Hoyt were at Broadway Village for the cookout. Just reminding people if they live in an apartment or the city man or the manager of the apartment can always call the police department and request a barbecue. I don't know if they're done for the year, but if they are, they'll schedule something for the spring. It's really a good way to get to meet our officers, get to know what they're doing. You can ask them questions. They're very, very accessible.
Let's talk about the police getting together with some people at that fine golf course behind you. But I understand the weather had some different ideas. What happened last Friday with the crime prevention golf event?
Well, this crime prevention board is raising money for the crime prevention fund, and it was on Friday. So it was night golf. We all gathered, and then they sent us out to our holes, and we played one hole, hit the ball 3 times, and then they sounded the alarm because it was starting to lightning, and you can't be on the golf course. And so the golf course took the stance of being proactive and call us all off that course. By the time we all got in, it just poured rain.
Hmm.
But it was a success even after all that.
Let's move ahead to Public Works, talk about a few things that they're busy doing. And you can tell with this group, it's the change of seasons as well. What do they do as fall comes on?
Well, they're trying to get the streets cleaned when they can. They're picking up branches from the storms that have gone down. They want to clean out the catch basins so that when winter comes, they'll be able to get rid of that water when it melts. And the pond grates, so they're doing that too. Besides all the normal stuff they do, there's just extra stuff every week it seems.
And also understand that they're busy with some training, CPR and first aid training. So something interesting that you might not equate with that department.
So all of our public works guys have been CPR trained and they have first aid training that they would use on each other or if they have to in a park or in a public works setting.
Let's move out to the streets then and find out what some of those groups have been doing as far as the infrastructure projects. Sonneson Elementary School, that area has been busy with activity, and I understand the rain maybe played into that a little bit this last week as well.
Well, they can't do a lot of restoration when it's pouring rain like that.
Right.
And they tell me that a lot of they can't do it if they know it's going to rain because a lot of that gets washed away when it's that heavy. So they're finishing up the restoration on that area by Sonneson, and then they'll put that final wear coat on. And when that's done, the project is officially done. So hopefully that'll get done this week if it stays nice for the rest of the week.
Let's hope so. Now let's move over to 42nd. A lot of activity there as well. What's the latest update? Looks like some pieces coming together that are signs that we're getting towards the end.
We are. This is a huge project. Working with Hennepin County and MnDOT, some of the streets are Hennepin County streets, some of them are the Highway Department. So 42nd and 169, the bridge had been closed. It's finally paved over, and they're changing the full clover leaves into a folded diamond pattern. Don't know what that means. I looked it up. I still don't know what that means, but it'll be exciting, I'm sure. So along with that comes a lot of signage and lighting. So that's what's happening there. Also from Winnetka to 169, they're putting in decorative lighting on that street. They buried the power lines. They put a new water main in under the streets. So there's just a ton of stuff going on everywhere over in that area. And then the last thing they're doing is, they told me they're going to be done by late October.
Okay, that sounds encouraging.
They said they're on schedule, so we'll see.
Perfect. And again, for travelers going up and down Boone, north to south, good news there. Again, we have one lane open each direction. Is that correct?
That's correct, but no lanes open east to west yet. There's just too much other stuff, but they needed to get those north to south. And we're getting new pedestrian lights there too that are accessible. So that's exciting news.
Very good. All right, residents, thanks for your patience on that project. Let's go to Park and Rec and talk about some things coming up for the fall and going on right now. And one going on right now is some great playoffs for softball players. Who's out on the fields and people may want to stop by and watch?
Well, the Women's Softball League is just wrapping up their tournament. It'll be on the 8th of October. If you get a chance to get out there and watch them, I'm not really sure where they're playing. I know they're doing some work on lighted field, so I'm not sure they're playing there, but you can go online or you can always call Park and Rec and ask them where they are. But those games are free and they're fun to watch.
You bet. All right. Website newhopemn.gov if you want to find out more about that schedule. Also, you might find out more there about the craze that is pickleball, and the city has responded with some new courts.
Well, it's very expensive to do a court from scratch. And so we're looking at the tennis courts that we have and the ones that may not be used quite as much as the other ones. So there's a tennis court at Meadow Lake School. It had 3 tennis courts. They've converted that into 8 pickleball courts. So there'll be strictly pickleball courts at that area at Meadow Lake School. So, and they are done. So they should be open now.
All right, get out there and play. Let's talk a little bit about trees. We've talked a lot about trees in the community throughout the summer. What are some of the new efforts going forward and also some continued efforts?
Well, our city forester is really good about looking for grant money. So he just applied for a $100,000 grant for the shade tree. Basically, it's for emerald ash borer. So this would be to take the trees down, replace trees, just some equipment that they need for some of that stuff. We don't take the trees down in the city. We have to hire that out, and it's very, very expensive. So he's also got his little can of orange paint, and he continues to mark trees. These are trees that are on public land, like the golf course, the boulevards, the parks. However, if you have a tree in your yard that you're concerned about, you can call the forester. He'll give you some information, what to do about that, if it looks like it can be saved, just anything you need to know. So you can call City Hall, ask for the forester. They'll connect you with him, and he'll be able to help you with some of that.
Very good. And let's touch on just a moment. You had some special guests in town that Park and Rec was involved in, also other departments in the city. You had some other mayors like yourself come to town. What did they do?
Well, instead of having a big conference every year, the Minnesota mayors decided they would have smaller little groups. They call them meetups. And so in New Hope, we had 17 mayors there. And basically, we wanted to show them our pool, but the pool was under restoration. so we couldn't. We did a slideshow on that, but they did do some slides on the parks and what the Park and Rec department's doing. We also took a tour of City Hall and the police department. And then we spent about an hour just talking to each other about what are you doing about cannabis? What are you doing about your school resource officers? It's interesting to me that all of the cities have the same concerns about this, and it's really helpful to be able to talk to each other. And also the League of Minnesota Cities was there to kind of guide us onto what's going on.
Fantastic. All right, a couple of final notes in Park and Rec to touch on. First, the golf course. What's the update from the course? They continue a busy fall season, I would guess.
They do. They're just wrapping up on all these evening and daytime tournaments. So they had obviously the crime prevention tournament. They had one called Chicks with Sticks on Saturday morning, and St. Raphael's were there on Saturday night. They're renting out the inside of the clubhouse on Wednesday this week from 4 to 8. So they're really busy with renting of that out. In the meantime, the fall leagues are going on. There's still a lot of tee times open if people want to play. And I understand that the carts are being allowed back on the course. They weren't right after that heavy rain. But I do suggest if you need a cart and you're going to play, I suggest you call to make sure that they're still going to be able to go on there. Because those carts are really hard on the grass and on the turf. So they have to pull them off when it's so wet.
Great advice. All right, let's hop over to the ice arena. They're ramping up for their big time of the year, and it looks like activity going on about every moment of the day there.
There's always something going on at that ice arena. I don't understand it. Friday, they have open skate from 6:30 to 8, and then on Sunday from 4 to 6. You can always, there's other teams that are playing there. The Cooper Armstrong girls hockey team is playing there. The captains practices, they're calling it. Youth hockey is doing tryouts there. The goaltender camps are being held. So there's just lots and lots of stuff. This new scoreboard on the South Rink is up. So lots of activity. And once it actually gets a little bit colder and the high school teams start playing, it'll be very busy there.
It'll be hopping once again. And speaking of a place that was hopping, the aquatic park was hopping all summer long, and now it's getting a chance to kind of restore some things, get the turf back in shape again. Tell us about that work continuing on.
Well, there's a lot to be done to winterize that. They have to drain everything, and then they have to clean it, and they have to get rid of that dirty water and drain it again, and then winterize all that stuff, all the pumps and all the lines. And then they're doing a lot of turf repair. We had 55,000 people come through that pool this summer. That's really hard on the turf. So they're doing some turf repair, making sure it's all winterized, making sure the trees are in good shape. So even though it seems like the pool is empty and done, it's not done. They're still working on it.
Let's go to HR. A couple updates for residents here. One is a community services officer. You have a new person that's joined the staff.
We did. Her name is Dimmy, and she joined last Monday. She's really excited to be part of the team. We don't have a lot of openings at New Hope because people just don't seem to leave. They come and they stay forever, and we like that. So a new community service officer, she'll be going around with an experienced officer for a little while, so you'll get to know her and see her doing whatever it is they do.
One other HR note, they have been attending some informational sessions about cannabis. And this is interesting. This, I would guess, would be for internal purposes, just to be up to date of how to work things with staff. Well,
the laws keep shifting, it seems. So we had some officers go to the cannabis facts and changing laws in Minnesota. So we want to make sure that our rules and regulations and ordinances match the Minnesota laws, and we're really restricted what we can do and what we can't do. And so we want to make sure that we have that all correct. And of course, our attorney's working with Minnesota to make sure that they're doing all the legal stuff right too.
Very good. A few final notes to pass along here. There's a big event coming up called the Tri-City Community Engagement Forum. Mayor, tell us more about this event and some of the topics that might be covered.
Well, this happens every year. So the 3 police departments from Crystal, New Hope, and Robbinsdale are represented there. Sometimes it's the chief, sometimes it's a captain or a sergeant. And basically, they tell you a little bit about what's happening in the 3 cities in the police departments. You can ask them questions. It's from 6:30 to 8 on the 11th of October, and it's going to be at Crystal Community Center. It's usually pretty well attended. And we ask people if they have concerns to come in and express them.
Let's talk for a minute about publications coming to people's homes. What's the next publication coming out that's going to keep residents informed?
So In Touch is what it's called. It's basically looks like a small newspaper, just a couple pages. You should be getting that in your mailboxes this week. Please read that. There's a lot of good stuff in there. It tells you what's going on and how to contact various people, not only on the council, but our city managers and staff.
All right, the leaves are changing outside, and that's a perfect opportunity for people maybe to pick up their camera and take some pictures. And you've got a contest that is a way people can get those pictures recognized. Give us some more details.
It's called In Focus, and people, places, and nature are the picture categories. And there'll be a youth category, and there'll also be a residents voting category where you can go in and vote on the photos. So you have until the 31st of October to submit your pictures. Go online into our website and /infocus. It'll give you all the rules and also tell you how to submit those photos. And then after the 1st of November, the residents will be able to vote on their photos. I don't know if they'll be able to vote online. I haven't heard that yet, but I know that they will be at City Hall. You can go in there and look on the screens and vote there if you want. They're always just so fun to see. The pictures need to be taken in New Hope, and it's amazing the ones they get.
Yeah, great way for residents to get involved there. Again, you see the website, newhopemn.gov/infocus. Make sure you get the details and get out and take some pictures. Final note you wanted to pass along, an event coming up on Winnetka Avenue that might turn some heads, but you're saying keep driving by. What's happening on a rather busy corner there?
50th and Winnetka is the corner. There's a house there, and West Metro Fire is going to do an active burn, and they do that for training purposes. So what they do is they start some small fires inside the house so that the firefighters can practice putting those out. And then at the end, they do a big burn that'll burn everything that's flammable there. They've been very careful to take out anything that's hazardous or poisonous out of the house before they do this. But why I'm telling people about this is please don't stop on Winnetka to watch this, because you get in the way of the other traffic and the firefighters. They need to be able to work on this and do this. So that's going to be on the 7th of October. In the event that it rains, they'll move it to the 14th. I have no idea what time they're starting. So you might smell some smoke in the air. It's not somebody's house that's on fire. It's actually under containment, and they're doing it purposely.
All right, and this is part of the scattered site housing program, and this is a property that the city will be working on, and there'll be some new houses in the future, correct?
2, yep.
All right. More to come on that as we continue the updates. Mayor, thanks once again for all of your time today. Again, the city's website, newhopemn.gov. Go there to find out more information about what we talked about, other things happening in the city. And stick with us. We've got a calendar of events, some things coming up that you might want to get involved in. Mayor, thanks once again. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, thank you, Dave. See you then.
Learn more about The Connection at ccxmedia.org and follow us on social media.